Yes, please. Okay, so I'm going to officially call this meeting to order at 9:33. Thank you all for being here. I apologize for not being able to attend the last meeting, but I want to thank Commissioner Orlando for doing such a great job in my absence. I appreciate it. Makes me feel good. And I'm sure it's a group effort. We appreciate all of you. So let's do a roll call. I'm going to do it in order of district. So starting with Commissioner Evans.
Here.
Commissioner Newhouse, I am here. Commissioner Orlando.
Here.
Commissioner Perlman.
Aye, yes.
Commissioner Phillips.
Here.
Awesome. Okay, agenda approval or modification. I'm assuming we've all had a chance to look at today's agenda.
I would like to make one modification,
Okay.
down under continuing business 9A. Can we identify that as, goal number 16?
Continuing business. Goal 16. Okay. Any other?
Let me get clarification on that. You're saying that we're not gonna discuss 9A as a 9A, we're gonna discuss it as a
Well, that's a good question,
goal item under.
because they are basically the same thing.
Right,
They both deal with the historic contact statement. And,
the 9A is very specific to recommendations provided by UDEC.
so if anything, then the update on the goal status is what we discussed at our November meeting, which is basically, we approved it, we approved moving it to the supervisor. So if anything, that should maybe be A, and then what's the next step, which is the recommendations, and our action plan would be B. So should those two B and A be switched, that they both deal with goal 16? But I mean,
I think you should just keep it the way it is, just because
okay,
it's, in a sense, we're potentially, in a sense, we're pulling out goal 16 and regurgitating it as item 9A.
It'll make goal 16 go by quick. How about that?
yes,
Okay.
So
Any other
we go back to a neutral status, then 9A stays 9A, right?
but I think it still needs to be identified that it is from
It's
goal
also-
16.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, just goal 16, flop, review.
Any other modifications? No?
Mm-mm.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with that one modification.
Okay.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you for that. And now the approval of the minutes. This was a special meeting that took place on November 3rd. Again, I was not present for the meeting, and I really don't know if this needs to be brought up here or not, but under each item where we had to have a vote, the ayes are listed as unanimous approval. I thought in the past we decided that we were going to list each individual commissioner name rather than just stating unanimous.
You're correct. I saw it happening, and for efficiency's sake, I didn't suggest a correction to Lucia.
Mhm.
But where it reads unanimous, I think that to be parallel,
Yeah.
we should probably have it modified to list each name.
Okay,
Of the four that were here, we can't list your name.
of course, absolutely. It wouldn't be very good though. Okay, so
That'd be a recommendation.
yeah, that is a
So the
recommendation.
recommendation is go back to listing names.
Yes.
Yeah, just for transparency and record keeping, I'm sure you could figure out who was present versus, you
Yeah.
know, if you really want. But Just to
I
be
think-
consistent with previous.
I think in the bylaws,
as well.
it reads that.
It does read that, okay.
And individual votes may.
Okay. So besides that, are there any other modifications to the minutes of the last special meeting?
No,
We missed you, but the meeting went well.
Okay. Well, I am not allowed to vote on approval since I was not there. But can I get a motion to
So moved.
approve? Okay.
Larry and Jim. No, we're going for gender specific motion.
Yeah, really. Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
You better stay for the right person.
Okay, yeah, no, okay, all in favor, Commissioner Evans? Commissioner Orlando? Commissioner Perlman? Commissioner Phillips?
aye.
Thank you. I should have mentioned this when we were first getting started, we're gonna try to be very efficient today. We've got two folks here that need to be done by 12 noon. I think we'd all like to be done by 12 noon, we quite often go beyond that. When it's necessary, that's fine, but today, let's try to be efficient, let's use our words wisely and keep moving forward. So, moving on to the next item, the declaration of ex parte communications. So this is where the commissioners disclose of oral written communication, site visits related to matters, and most meetings we don't have these, but we do have a few of them today. The first one being I guess this one falls on me. This is to talk about the Arano House and the Rice House that are located in the second district in Aptos, which is my territory. We did have a visit to these properties. Real quickly, just to give some background on it. These houses were at one point privately owned residents. The RTC purchased the properties because they needed access to that space for the project that they're working on, the rail trail project that they're working on. They were made quite aware that these were historic properties. Along these properties, there's a lot of adjacent built on, they were dwelling units. Some were used for business, some were used for residential. One was a decent sized garage. These are all non-historic parts of these properties. I was concerned at the lack of maintenance going on these two properties. They appeared to be, they were vacant. The RTC asked the residents to please vacate, and the windows and the doors were boarded up. And I've never seen anyone out there trying to maintain the properties. Garbage was building up. You can tell that there's evidence of squatters. There was some graffiti on the sides of the buildings. So it dawned on me that, hey, we need to hold the RTC responsible for maintaining these buildings. We requested a meeting, and the initial meeting included myself and Carolyn Swift, who was at one time a commissioner on this commission for the second district, and there was two representatives from the RTC. When we got there,
Jason and me.
no, you weren't there at the first meeting.
Oh, I thought you referred to the meeting at the house.
We were. There was a meeting before.
Oh, that's the second.
Yeah, it was the second meeting. So the first meeting, we got there and we were able to walk around the outside perimeter of the properties. They did not have a key to let us inside the house, which was the entire point of the visit. And so my suspicions right then and there raised even higher. They said, why are, not that they're doing anything malicious, but
No.
if you don't even have a key to access this place, that leads me to believe you are not going inside of this place. You are not maintaining this place. You're not monitoring it. So we got past that. We scheduled a second meeting.
Aside from the key issue, there's the graffiti and the trash.
There's
Which
graffiti.
would lead one to conclude that they're not taking care of the property.
Exactly. Graffiti and trash and, signs of, potential like squatting as well, which can be a problem as we all know.
Unkempt, nasty appearance from the
Yes,
outside.
when we were walking around, so the Arano house had these cute little shutters that were on the upstairs windows, and it really added to the historic feel of this property. And I feel like it's an important part of the property to maintain its historic appearance. At some point in time, those were taken down. And the RTC blames the previous owner. The previous owner said it was the RTC. So there's really, who said who, you know, no one knows where they are. During that initial visit, we walked around the perimeter. I was able to find one of the shutters. RTC gave me permission to take it home and keep it safe. So if they need to
shutters,
them.
kind of faux shutters, or are they shutters that actually cover the window?
They're faux. Yeah, they're for design or aesthetic. They're decorative aesthetic,
right.
Yeah.
And,
But they've been there for, you know, since the 1950s. I mean, we've got photos from the
Mhm.
1950s that show them, so
and the building looked a lot better with
It looked a lot better, exactly. So we found one, and we were able to, you know, keep that safe if they need to recreate it and, you know, and throw them back up there at some point. Second meeting was scheduled for December 15th, and this time it included 3 to 4 representatives from the RTC, John Hibble and Barry Scott from the Aptos History Museum, 2 members of the Santa Cruz Sheriff's Department actually were there. Myself, Matthew, and Commissioner Perlman were all there. Carolyn Swift was also there, and also
Did you say Matthew as a mate?
as in you.
I was not there.
At the second meeting?
Nope.
You weren't there? Was he not there?
I was projecting his image on the wall.
That's right.
Were you there at the initial meeting?
Like projecting that little red dot or that.
Yeah. Here he is.
Well,
No, neither one. I've been listening to your.
so you haven't been out there at all for a visit?
I've seen it. I have been there on site on my own.
Okay.
But
God, I
not,
thought you were there.
Not
I
right.
swear I could see you there. Okay, well, there we go. Thanks for the clarification. No Matthew. Commissioner Perlman was there, and also the second district supervisor, Kim DeSerpo, came out there.
And she showed great concern too.
She did. Well, and the reason we wanted to have all of these people out there is to show the RTC that we're not messing around. The very important people in this community are all keeping a very close eye on these properties, and that we're gonna hold them accountable for their responsibilities. This time we were able to gain access to both buildings, the Arano House and the Rice House. There were some signs of squatting. When we got inside the Arano House, it was covered in graffiti. I mean, it was shocking how much graffiti was on the walls on the inside. The carpets are just terrible, gross, it's dirty inside, it's not.
Don't want to
it's
step
not-
on them.
Yeah, there were some safety concerns, which is why the sheriffs were there.
Mildew and rust.
Yeah, yeah, some, I mean, I will say the good news is that I did not see a whole lot, or any, to be perfectly honest, I didn't see any mold. I didn't see any black mold. I didn't see any evidence of water leaking in through the windows, through the roofs.
Oh, good.
So it looks really, really bad, but most of it is aesthetic and can be, and I do think that the houses are still in pretty good shape. Not to say that they don't need to be cleaned and maintained going forward, because anything can happen at any time. So I think now that everyone saw the shape that they're in, we have another meeting planned next week on the 18th, where I'm just going to go out there with a member of the Aptos History Museum. We're gonna meet with the RTC. It'll be a follow-up meeting just to kind of discuss plans on how to maintain it going forward. And also the tearing down of the adjacent buildings. There's certain policies and procedures they need to follow because they are attached to historic buildings, and we want to make sure that they're torn down safely so that it doesn't damage any of the historic properties or anything like that. So that's trying to keep to my own request to keep this tight and concise, but there is progress, and there is an awareness that these buildings need to be maintained because they are the owners and they have the responsibility, and now they know that they're being watched and followed up upon. So hopefully.
When the RTC moves forward to tear down those 1950s garage and the adjacent buildings, I perceive that it's possible, Mark or Matthew could clarify this, they would need a permit for it.
They will.
That permit would come back to this commission because they're historic buildings.
They're not historic buildings.
But since they're attached to the historic building, that might come back
The
to us.
freestanding buildings don't require HRC, but.
Just attached.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it under a separate item.
Okay.
May I ask,
I have it.
clarification, RTC are the owners, RTC.
They are the current owners.
Purchase.
Yeah. So then yeah,
So Kevin, you said you're gonna meet the week of the 16th, I believe that's Monday.
Yeah, we're going on February 18th, we're meeting on Wednesday, the 18th.
Okay, and it's just you and some historic, John Hibble,
Yeah, John Hibble, and I think Barry Scott will be there too from the Aptos History Museum.
what's his name, Barry?
Barry Scott,
As in Scott,
SCOTT. Yeah, he's the president of their board at the current time.
He's a very good guy.
You could, I don't know if it's gonna be of much interest, I don't know if we're gonna be going inside, it's more of just let's sit down and come up with a plan, going forward. But, if you wanted to, you could be a part of
Is
it.
that the property?
It does the process, yeah.
February, what date?
Wednesday, February 18th, and I can't remember the time, it's late in the afternoon, I think it might even be like 3 o'clock or 5
I'll
o'clock.
get in touch with you.
Okay, perfect. So the second item here, item B, is also one of mine. This is the Porter Cessnon Historic House Visit. So the Porter Cessnon House is a house that is on the Cabrillo College campus. It was built by Benjamin and Kay Porter in 1911. They were very much inspired by Asian culture. They're well-to-do. He was a banker. They had some good, they had some money, and she being part of the Porter family. They had money to travel. They built this beautiful house with with Asian influence. And in the back of the house, they had a gazebo. Sometimes it's referred to as the meditation area. Who knows what they use it for? But it's a beautiful little gazebo that's in the backyard of this house. And it's very interesting. I've seen this gazebo. I know the Porter Cessnon house. This is the first time this was brought to my attention. There was a student on the Cabrillo campus who noticed something and reported it to the one of the groundskeepers, landscaper, or
I don't know.
Maintenance
I don't recall the
person,
but-
some employee of the Cabrillo College campus, and what they noticed was that along the trim of this gazebo were these small little designs, and on these designs is actually swastikas. And so
in the reverse,
yeah,
Okay.
not clockwise, but counter.
right. And this bothered them, and they asked this, I'm assuming he was a maintenance person, they were requesting that they be removed. And so this person contacted Matthew, and Matthew contacted me, and I think so I went down to go see for myself what they were talking about, and sure enough, I went down there, took some photos, and these are so small that you have to walk directly, you have to be like right underneath it and look up and see what it is. Even looking for it, I had a hard time finding it. Not to say that, this person doesn't have a valid, recommendation. We're kind of put in an interesting situation because the gazebo, there's some question as to whether or not it's actually included in the DPR for the actual Porter Cessnon house is on the historic resource inventory. The gazebo, it's part of the house, it's part of the property, it was built at the same time, it should be included. So technically, we're treating it like it is a part of this historic property, so whether or not we can alter it warrants some discussion.
Yeah.
I took it upon myself, because this is one student over the past 50+ years has complained about this. I've never heard about a complaint like this in the past. Not to say that, again, it's not a warranted complaint, we have to take it seriously. I reached out to Rabbi Paula Marcus at Temple Bethel, which is right up the street, because I thought, well, that's gonna be an interesting perspective. Let's get someone from the community who, might have some say about this. She wrote back and she said, look, I've traveled in India, like I understand the meaning of the swastika was not born out of hate. The house was built in 1911, it was prior to World War II, it was prior to Adolf Hitler and the German nationalist, turning it into a symbol of hate. So the Porter Cessnon house was built with the best of intentions. It's a symbol of good luck and well-being.
The Nazis reversed it.
They did,
So when it's
exactly.
in its original
Exactly.
orientation.
Yeah, but it's still the side of it, it's still jarring, I mean, even when I look at it, I'm like, oh.
Absolutely.
And for people who
Like,
don't
my goodness.
know and don't know the history of the
Exactly.
symbol, they have only one
Well, and that's,
image and idea of what it
and that's a
represents.
perfect segue to the solution that we came up with. Rabbi Paula suggested that, you know, and I asked her, I said, look, you're the rabbi at a local temple right up the road, you're a voice of the Jewish people, like, you know, really, I would take your words to heart, and how would you like to see us proceed with this? She said, keep them, put up a plaque that explains the symbol, you know, you can include the history of the house and the gazebo, and then include some, language about the symbol, and make a strong statement, about anti-Semitism included in it. So I think we're gonna reach out to the college and say, hey, you know, we would like to request that you add a plaque at the gazebo, blah, blah, blah.
Bingo.
So,
Yes.
so, yeah, we'll keep you
What's
posted
the
on that.
condition of that gazebo on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10?
I think it's in really good condition. I took some photos here, we can kind of look at them when we in the break, but,
I saw ivy
there-
growing on it,
there's ivy growing on it, but I believe that's,
which eats up wood and eats up concrete.
it does, it might be part of the design though, because it's not wild, it's not growing in from the wild and growing up, it's obviously landscaped to be that way, so I don't know. I mean, that is a valid concern, we can bring that up and say, I don't know if you guys should really have this ivy growing up the sides.
What is it growing on? Wood?
Wood, yeah, it's all wood.
Yeah, no.
And where are the designs on this?
So this is the gazebo, so this is the trim of the rooftop,
Under the tree?
and even walking up close, you can't really see it, and then on the trim there, those are the symbols, and they're literally less
Do you have
than.
the photos I sent.
That's
Matthew.
the Cessna house, looking back from.
No,
the-
don't use that.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
very-
sent him photos
Very,
for
very
the
small, so these
presentation.
are the symbols on the top there.
Does she have them to show?
Do you have access to, the?
It's owned by the college, owned by career college.
On here?
This is your personal computer, right?
yeah, but you're talking about.
Let me, so the photos you sent me are separate from these photos?
Yes, there's like 20 or 25 photos on there. What I sent you was like 8.
Okay, yeah, I have them on my,
They're in this, right?
no, I don't want people sending you emails and everybody gets to see your
Kevin, are
emails.
you still communicating actively with the people? at
And I can
the
copy-
Subject.
I haven't.
Because there's other things on there too.
I'm gonna talk to them on.
Oh, okay.
In the meantime,
Let's talk offline, that's some material that will support you.
Okay,
Right.
all right, let's just pause. This will only take 3 minutes.
okay.
The
Got it. Oh, the point
And
is right here.
never really used one, so
That's Ben Lomond. And that's Ben Lomond.
no, that's Boulder Creek. And how do I make it
Here. I think if you.
a real point and
Yeah,
not the
it's got a-
flashlight?
If you change the settings, yeah, there you go. Where did it?
There,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's
actually,
the,
every time you click it,
it
in the
changes
logo,
this.
it changes it, so you might have to click it a couple times.
okay. So do we want to wait for Matthew?
I guess.
We could,
I told him we gotta get the ball rolling here.
I mean, yeah, he's the one that needs to leave,
Yeah.
so, why don't
Well,
we do
it's
him a
just
favor?
information.
Yeah, why don't we just keep going?
Okay, you want to
I
start
think
the
you'd appreciate
recording?
that.
Yes, I
Yeah.
did. Yeah,
Oh,
we're good.
perfect. All right, so on the DPR, this is called the Locatelli Barn, but to give you some background, that this was constructed in 1892 to 1897. I'm working with Lisa Robinson at the San Lorenzo Valley Museum to firm up a few things. But this was built by Henry Louis Middleton, H.L. Middleton, as his private private, oh, and it's not going on the
Share
thing.
your screen.
As his private, this part here, as his private stable. And then, that was in the 1895s. In 1905, he sold his livery stable to George Cress and Fred Moody to have their business, the People's Livery and Feed. So this was the first one in Boulder Creek. The livery side of the People's Livery and Feed was used for transportation services, such as hauling stagecoaches to take the tourists to the newly designated Big Basin Park, horse-pulled funeral hearses, and horse stabling. Then, 3 years later, they expanded the livery stable's footprint with the addition on the north side of the buildings, which is this part.
Oh.
She was having trouble using it.
Wow.
So that was added to it in 1908.
So that's
And-
historic as well.
Pardon? Yes, yes, that's part of the DPR. With the coming of the automobile, George and Fred added a gas pump in 1911 to become Boulder Creek's first gas station. In 1924, Fred and George dissolved their partnership, with Fred retaining Fred Moody, retaining the construction contracting side of the business in the barn, and George taking the garage and gas station across the street. And there's still a gas station across the street today. Fred had a young worker named Ernie Locatelli working for him. In about 1941, Fred Moody sold the barn to the Locatelli property, which included so this is the children. And they have kept separate in the SLB Valley, and as far as I've understood, is that they did not associate with the Santa Cruz Locatellis. Way back in Italy, they probably were, but here, we have the Locatellis up in the valley and the other Locatellis down in Santa Cruz. So in 41, Fred Moody sold the barn to the Locatelli family, which included Vincent, Ernest, Ernie, Dante, Frank, and George, Ida, and Julio, who used it as a warehouse for supplies and storage for the Locatelli lumber mill. Around 1948, the Locatelli lumber mill was sold to the Santa Cruz Lumber Company, so the barn was then used for general storage. There's an office in the front. I think it was this side, this here, that Annie used as a real estate office. In 74, Ernie Locatelli, his son Robert and Bud Harwood bought the Locatelli barn from the rest of the family. Today, Robert Locatelli uses the barn as a storage area for his Boulder Creek Wild Roots natural and organic grocery store located across the street, Highway 9. So the stable's architecture has changed little over the years. In 2011, Robert and Terry Locatelli renovated the front, that storefront facade of the barn, and had an exact replica of the Moody and Cress livery sign made for erecting on the front of the livery stable, and you can see the big white sign up on top. And it mentions about rides and going to the park. Then in 2012, the Santa Cruz County Historic Resources Commission awarded a certificate of appreciation and acknowledgement of the restoration work done on the storefront facade of the building. And that was our first certificate that we issued. Okay, so there you get, and you can see, and along the street, if you've ever been up there, you will notice that the buildings are like next to each other or just 1 or 2 inches. There's no alleyways or spaces. And to the right, Max Place, that's on the inventory too. So at some point, I'll be taking photos and doing that one. So let's go back and start looking at various specific. Okay, no, can we get the pictures?
Oh.
Because I'd like to stay on the front. Okay, so let's look at this one here. All right, so the repairs that were being done,
Do you want to use this Laser
it wasn't lighting up on that, it was doing the wall all around.
So you push it 3 times to get the red.
Okay.
The red doesn't show up on.
But it
there.
doesn't show up on the screen.
Never mind.
I can use, do you wanna use the mouse?
Let's see, it's been a while. Okay, so the repairs were this along here, and then down here, and down here. And it looks like they painted the corrugated metal doors. Now, the other doors on the right side are wood. My guess is, well, that those were wood at some time. And I'm working with Lisa to find out when they got switched out to the metal. So she's gonna do some research. But you can see the difference between having been painted and this side here. That the paint's chipping and so on. You can see up in the middle where you see original wood in between, and this is on top. And I took close-ups of this, the edges are rounded. I think it might be vinyl, or Leighton, my husband thought it might be bender board, thick bender board, so it's not wood. But this over here is 2x4s. So
The framing
The-
or the siding?
this piece, right, these couple pieces are 2x4s.
Okay,
But this over here is, for me, unknown material,
okay.
not wood. I don't think it's wood. All right, let's pull up the photos again.
May I have the mouse, sorry.
Oh,
Thank
oh,
you.
well then, no, I don't want to take your mouse.
No, you're good.
Let's do the upper half. So in the DPR, it talks about how it describes it as a large 2-story rectangular plan building with a gable roof at the very top there and a commercial false front. It has double oversized doors on the ground story and patterned shingles above. So that part of it still seems to be in good shape. You can see I don't want to say original, but the wood doors there and how they're kind of bowed in. Bob still uses that inside to store goods for the grocery store when there's deliveries and things. So they're going in and out of that. I don't see them on the addition at all. And so you can see, this is the original, not original, but the replica of the original sign that was there. And then this is just, I'm not sure, no, that's just a sign he had made. I was thinking it was blue plaque. It said the tip of the gable protrudes above the commercial false front, shake roof, some of which is still intact, which has largely been replaced by a metal roof. All right, so let's start looking at the side and the back. Let's pick that one. As good as any. Oh, that's a good one. So this is behind the false front.
Why is going through this in order to make this available on the web?
So, basically, looking at that, to me, it doesn't look like anything's been done to it in
Decades.
100 years. Okay, and, so let's look at another one. I'll show you the back. And let's see if that's in view.
How did you get that to?
Well, the building to the north of it is a pizza parlor. So there's parking in the back and I walk back there. And then and there is a fence, he's got a chain link fence, so it's open. But all the way to the street behind, which is where the railroad was, that's Railroad Avenue, and where the depot used to be.
Riley, can you magnify without,
Yeah.
without unfocusing? More?
So,
It's pretty ratty.
yeah, and,
And he stores stuff in here?
well, my guess is that the foodstuffs for the grocery store are in the front end. No one has been in the inside of that building other than him and a few employees, probably in 100 years. So nobody knows what it looks like inside, but it'll be hundreds of thousands of dollars
Of,
to do any kind of repair. It'll never get done. So to me, this in a way kind of looks like the Redmond House,
sure.
but he keeps fixing up the facade in front. So
That's
to the
not-
public, everything looks really nice. But I had talked to Matthew and I had asked him with the repairs, did they happen to apply for a permit? And that took me back to talking with him back in the 90s when we had an antique store in town and we were all part of the business association. And he said, no, he says, it'll be hundreds of thousands of dollars. It'll get red tagged. He said, I'm not putting a dime in it. So anyway, for the DPR, to update the DPR, I have added more historical
What about
information.
the roof? Do you know the condition of the roof? And is this wood shake roof here that I'm looking at, or?
Well, it says in the DPR that it had been largely replaced with a metal roof.
And how old is the DPR?
986. I don't think there was an addendum to it.
Let me see that. Yeah,
I can go down the street and across the street and get a picture of the roof and I'll go through the photos I took, because I took even more than I have at home. I didn't want to inundate you with like 50 photos. So this is just to inform you, this is on our DPR. It was just the front getting recent repairs. And so, I also included, to Matthew to be transparent, Lisa took an architectural class at West Valley College, and one of the projects was to go out, find a historic building and that needed repairs and do a repair plan. And she did all that, she did in 2007, and took photos, and I included that on the flash drive. So, but
Do we, as a commission, need to do anything to request that?
he won't do anything.
Well, that's,
We can certainly, ask him to,
well, we have our building codes.
yeah. Can you go back to the,
If it can be determined that it's in a unsafe state,
can you do the?
then we have codes that
I
will
didn't,
address
right
that.
there. Oh, go back to the one you're at. But the other thing is that if we're focused on what can be done in a reasonable cost and time, you do have this getting worn and eaten away. There's paint chipping off of the framing. We can see the door is hanging all cockeyed.
yeah.
There are, these doors over here, there is the facade repairs to keep that up.
Yeah, but I wanna point out, it's kind of like putting lipstick on a pig. If the rest of it
Exactly.
is crumbling.
Exactly. So this is just info. If the commission decides it wants to go deeper into this, we can put it as an agenda item for later on. But I visited, took photos, gathered to update the DPR for this
So-
property.
So just so you understand that there are codes to address structures that are in bad condition. How does that work out? One of you can go to the planning or the building department and address this and say, I'm concerned about this building. It's a historic building, number one, but it's a commercial building, number two. It's potentially gotten to the point where it could collapse from its own weight because of the lack of maintenance. And we have codes that address fixing things. So explore that. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
2007 plan have an estimated cost.
I just glanced through what she had, where she has, you know, a picture and then has arrows about, you know, this to do this and hardware and this and that kind of thing. I did not look through it in depth.
And I'm very skeptical about an old barn building like that costing hundreds of thousands of dollars. When you balance this kind of a structure, which is just a barn,
Yeah.
to the Redmond house, two different animals, right?
Mhm.
This thing probably needs some pier blocks here and there for better foundation support, but maybe stem wall exterior, stem wall foundation that might exist or maybe crumbling or doesn't exist, and perhaps the whole building is on pier blocks. And then the roof is very important, and I just don't see hundreds of thousands of dollars. I suppose if you hired somebody at $200 an hour, it would end up in that kind of a cost framework. Anyway, as I sit here, I think it shouldn't be all that difficult to move to the next step, which is to deal with the building department and code enforcement.
Okay.
And you say the owner won't do anything, but that's his responsibility
Mhm.
for owning a historic property. So it's like, sorry, you don't want to do it.
Because I know, you know, my predecessor, Barbara,
Mhm.
she was always very concerned that it would be left to just,
Yeah,
you know, through negligence.
the longer we wait, the worse it'll get.
So,
Could this be your most high-profile, publicly seen building on your inventory
In your district?
in your district? I'm thinking it is. I'm thinking that's a really valuable piece of property in a town that's gonna explode in the next 10 years with value. And that pushing them to do the right thing is our job.
I say we revisit it at another meeting.
yeah, I didn't want to bog this down. I wanted this to be quick.
Yeah.
So,
Good work, Linda.
Yeah,
Nice investigation.
And this pushes, you know, the point that it is important for us to get out there and, you know, at least drive by and do a visual inspection of some of the properties that are on our inventory. Our goal is to eventually get to all of them, knowing some of them are private residents, some of them we are not allowed to trespass or obviously do anything like that. But there's a lot of buildings out there that we can get a visual set of eyes on, and just like that, where you go, that looks great from the front, but let me look at it from the side. I'll
Yeah.
get back and, oh my goodness, look at that.
Yeah.
So let's get out there and let's try to view the properties that are on our inventory. Moving on to, sure.
Thank you. I really appreciate you going out to these places, meeting with the RTC and people. I would like to request that you perhaps schedule a meeting with the owner to just find out from them and also make them aware this county has adopted the Mills Act. They may not be aware of that, and that could be a benefit.
I think if they've owned it for that long, it probably wouldn't, their property taxes are probably pretty low already.
Right.
If they're a new owner were to come in and purchase it, the Mills Act would very much benefit the new owner, but if you've owned a property for that long, you're probably already paying pretty low property taxes. That's a great idea though.
Okay.
and a quick question, has the letters about the Mills Act gone out to the property owners?
No, because the Mills Act implementation paperwork
Mhm.
has not gotten holy water sprinkled on it yet.
Okay,
And before you continue, Becky, I just want to ask you, your comments right now have to do with
Yes,
the item. Okay,
with all of the expertise,
perfect,
and I want to thank you for the work on the gazebo and
sure.
Real college. I think this is a great opportunity to have a teaching moment in our community. I would also like to ask that you reach out to the Asian community to bring in their involvement in the interpretive panel.
That's a very good idea, Becky.
Yes.
I drove by the Arano Rice house last night and it's worrisome.
Yeah.
Thank you for your good work, all of you.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on to item 5, public communication. So this is where members of the public may speak of items not on the agenda. We do have a member of the public with us here today. So Becky, if you would like to speak of anything that's not currently on the agenda, you may do so. And I just want to remind you that you do have a limit of 3 minutes.
Thank you. I will be brief because I know we're time constrained. This is Becky Steinbrenner. I'm a resident of rural Aptos. I see that the Bayview Hotel is not on your agenda today. And I continue to be concerned about that because I have reached out to Ms. Locke and am aware that it is in a long-term escrow with son-in-law of Joe Appenrod and being financially supported by Workbench. It is a very aggressive local builder. And I'm very worried about that building, what could become of it. I'm also worried that it is empty and likely there are squatters there as well. So I hope that you perhaps can meet there and just take a look, see around and in and just see how things are going. I continue to, on another topic, I continue to be concerned about the Redmond House and I'll leave it there.
Okay.
And then there's the barn up in Davenport that fell down. And I remember there was a young woman that came to this commission a few years ago, maybe 2 or 3, and said she was going to restore it and make it a local artisan barn. So I would request that perhaps Commissioner Orlando can meet up with that person and find out and give the commission an update. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Becky. And I will say that I have been in very close contact with the folks at Bayview Hotel, and I've been in there several times, and there are no squatters.
Good.
And we're making sure that whoever ends up purchasing the building is doing what they need to do to maintain the historical integrity of the building. What they do with the building, that's up to them. They will be the owners, but as long as that it stays within the codes and as long as they're not, breaking any rules or codes, then it's up to them what they want to do with the building. But as far as I can tell, no squatters, and they are doing their due diligence and what needs to be done to repair the buildings and all the proper steps and manners. So we're keeping an eye on that for sure.
Permitting.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving right along, consent items, there are none. Public hearing items, there are none. New business, this is the demolition by neglect ordinance. This is a workshop. Matthew, I'll let you take it from here.
Okay, right off the bat, I want to say it is a workshop and no action to be taken. You're just gonna reflect on what you read and ask me some questions if you have any. And I'm gonna start off real quick with a preamble. Proposal to amend the Santa Cruz County Code, section 1642, the historic preservation section. Amend it with a demolition by neglect ordinance and to recommend approval of the ordinance, ultimately recommend approval to the supervisors when it's time to take that action. As described by the National Trust for Historic Preservation, demolition by neglect is the term used to describe a situation in which a property owner intentionally allows a historic property to suffer severe deterioration, potentially beyond the point of repair. This process can be either intentional, when a property owner allows decay maliciously, or unintentional, when a property owner simply does not have the financial means to maintain a historic building. It is not unusual for a property owner to use this kind of long-term neglect to circumvent historic preservation. I thought that was important. And as you see, I have on the agenda, I've included my draft of the section. It includes the ordinance number, and then following that, you'll see the section 1 of my demolition by neglect. Section 1 is taken from section 1642 of our code.
Section 1, it says page 2 at the bottom.
That's right, section, yep. And as you scroll through those pages, you go to page 5, that's where my new language is located, related to demolition by neglect. and I trust that you have perused this. This is new language. Wherever you see strikeouts is obviously gonna be something I propose we take out. And wherever you see underlining, that's what I propose that we add.
Section 5, did you say?
No, page 5.
Page 5. Great, thank you.
So the underlining represents new language that pertains to demolition by neglect. And the overall thrust of what I propose here, what I've included in this amended section 1642, overall thrust is a way to address a problem using the county government. But if in the event that the county government cannot or will not proceed to deal with a deteriorating structure, I've structured it so that a private person could proceed to, let's say, a house is deteriorating and there's leaks on the inside, it's a historic house, it's in our inventory. The property owner is careless or absent or whatever, and somebody who's concerned about the historic structure says, I'll put a new roof on it. So I've structured this amended section 1642 to allow two pathways. Either the county government can address the issue or a private party can address the issue. And I talk about lien on the property. So if you decide that you're wealthy enough to put a $50,000 new roof on a historic structure, yes, you're out $50,000, but you have a lien on the property so that when it does sell, if it ever sells, the money comes back to you. Anyway, there's another thing that I need to convey, and that is an important issue, and that is I have gone to other jurisdictions to figure out how they operate and under these circumstances. And my staff report, which I haven't shared with you, and I'm not going to share with you because it's not complete, it's in draft form, but it kind of gives an idea of how I structured this section 1642 amended historic preservation section. And I make reference in my staff report to other jurisdictions in the United States and how they behave with the same issue. There's a lot of eminent domain out there that jurisdictions have used to step in and fix things where people property owners are not interested in doing it, and they just let the place rot. Anyway, this is demolition by neglect ordinance is part of the aftermath of Redmond House,
Mhm.
and so is Mills Act.
It's like a tool package. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
It's different things.
We have the Mills Act, we have demolition by neglect, we have our current codes to address deteriorating buildings, but it's not as forceful as what I'm proposing. And keep in mind too, that the county's had building codes for years that were never implemented in the context of Redmond House. Theoretically, had those buttons been pushed with our building codes, Redmond House theoretically
Would be standard.
would be standing.
Yes, that's right.
It's all a matter of interest amongst the members of the public and the people in power who make the decisions about budgets and tasks assigned to various departments.
I believe that in 1994, when the inventory was launched, that would have been the time to step up to the plate on that.
Ideally, yeah,
And that's,
including the Mills Act.
yes,
Yeah.
that's 32 years ago. And what they did was they initialized, but they didn't put enough power or momentum behind it 30 years ago.
Right.
We're catching up now.
Right.
And we have very unfortunately lost the Redmond House in the process.
Right. So again, this is no action to be taken. I'm giving you a heads up of what's been constructed and the direction that I've taken this thing. It hasn't been vetted by the higher ups. So there you have it.
So what is next? You say vetted by the higher ups. What does it need?
That's what has to happen next. They need to have,
How do we encourage them to do it?
I've been trying to do that for a long time, and I was hoping that would all come to an end before I left.
Well, maybe we can help here with some kind of a recommendation from the commission back to the CDI to take action. Is that worthy of a conversation right now and maybe a motion? How do we support, Matthew, this looks like you put an enormous amount of time and work into it.
Oh, yeah.
This was months, if not a year's work. And
that, what you're looking at, keep in mind, there's a 7-page staff report that goes with it. No, I'm not getting it to you.
okay,
So explain it to me very simply, like, whose desk is this sitting on? Who's next in line to approve this and push this through to the Board of Suits?
It went to Mark Connolly in July of last year, and then it went to Stephanie in November of last year.
Okay, and so all we need them to do is review it and say, we're good with the language
It
and
needs to be
move it on.
reviewed, in my opinion, it needs to be reviewed by Stephanie, and then it needs to be reviewed by the county council that works on
Mhm.
planning matters.
And after that
And then
point,
they needed, ideally, they'd be coming back to me with questions about, well, what about this, or what about that, or,
yeah,
no, you can't do that, or this
yeah.
is bad policy. None of that has transpired yet, so.
Because I would love to see them get through that stage before.
That's,
does Mark need to approve this?
that's the
Matt, does Matt need to approve this?
ultimately,
Stephanie takes it to Matt,
oh, yeah,
and then,
Because when you retire, they're not gonna have you to come back to ask questions and clarifications. That's very, very important that they do that before you retire.
I think Mark's raised his hand online.
Hello, Commissioner. Sorry, I'm just here in my office listening here. I was going to pop in, but this is faster. Just to give you an update on the process that we're looking at for this item. What we're looking for in the workshop venue today is for some preliminary advice, recommendations from the HRC to provide to staff. And then we'll take that in consideration with my review of the ordinance and Stephanie's review, and then we're going to give that to county council. There's always legal things that we have to look at and consider, and there's always little changes and tweaks we have to make. So to the chair's point of, having us fully bake this and then give it to you, this is the workshop item. So we're really looking for your input the other way around right now. Just let's get the big issues, questions, comments out there in broad format right now in this workshop, and then we'll fully put everything together, take your comments. You all are the subject matter experts here. So as you review this ordinance and you see maybe glaring issues with it or some high praise for it, that'll give staff and our county council the tools they need to move forward with this. So I just want to clarify the process here.
Okay.
thank you, Mark.
Yeah, fair.
Thank you. This really, really is good work. If you drill down, I'm looking at the detail of the wording of the items, and it's a complete empowerment. Okay, I'm looking at, E1B, the enforcing officer.
What page?
Page 6, kind of number small.
In the middle of
b.
the page.
Yeah, at the upper third, small b. Just the way it's written, it's just full empowerment. It just is right to the point of what the steps are. Shall be given notice by certified or registered mail. It's the procedural moving forward of how to do it. And a huge amount of work's been put into this. And I'd sure like to see our commission support the document and support the subject to push forward, to have the county approve this ordinance.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I read through this and at my skill level, like, I can't imagine anything else we can add that we haven't already, you know, done in the past to get to this point. I think if, you know, if the legal counsel or whatever can go through it and come back with any concerns they have while we still have Matthew at our services, I think that's gonna be the most beneficial thing at this point. So I agree, Barry. I for one am willing to say, let's move on to the next step.
I trust Matthew's work here. And he also brings to the table experience in prior organizations where this kind of work contributed to the overall progress of what I call the toolbox, a set of ordinances that move us forward and we become more advanced and more effective at preserving the historical buildings in the community.
So are there any concerns, modifications, clarifications that any other commissioners need at this point?
I have one on page 8. There's a blue strikeout at the bottom about EIRs. And I don't necessarily disagree with it, but I'm just wondering, because it looks like it removes the HRC from the scope of EIRs. I'm just surprised that the HRC was in there to begin with to be struck out.
Yeah, we belong in there.
Yeah, so is that something that other jurisdictions have allowed? Just seems like EIRs are way outside of our scope.
Yeah, you know,
We're
I don't think that should be stricken because, this is the entirety of section 1642, which stands today,
Mhm,
plus what I've added, which is underlined.
right,
And I don't recall why I would have struck out this language. It may have been that I meant to strike out the letter M.
oh,
only.
when you were reading.
And have it
when you
be,
were
and
reading
just
that.
let it stand as that.
You see the nomenclature, how
Yeah,
J
Yeah.
is replaced with K, K.
yes.
It may just have been a overzealous swing of the mouse.
That
So,
is a good catch right there.
yeah, that is a good catch.
Well, yeah,
Actually, I didn't know why we were in the EIR, so now I guess I do.
Yeah, it's
Thank
the
you.
the EIR item, which is now N, as in November, that item should stand, it should stay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
very.
Anything else that catches anyone's eye? Concerns, questions, comments? Something we need to make a motion to pass on? Becky, you have something real quick?
I do. Thank you. Becky Steinbruder, thank you for raising the issue of the EIR as well. I had that concern. I figured it had been taken out because of the new language in section 2 that effectively makes the actions related to this demolition by neglect CEQA exempt. So I don't know if that's, my interpretation is correct, or if it's the overzealous mouse. I like to think of the overzealous mouse, because I think this commission's power is quite profound. And that you should be included in any environmental review, scoping, or anything like that that may occur. I had a question. This is not the first time, as Commissioner Perlman pointed out, that this commission has looked at a demolition by neglect. More recently, Commissioner Susie Miriam from the First District drafted a demolition by neglect ordinance,
Mhm.
and the commission approved it. And it went to the board and it was never approved. I would like to request that perhaps Commissioner Miriam knows, perhaps Commissioner Phillips, you remember why it was not approved, but it was not, the Board of Supervisors refused to approve it. And any reason why they didn't should be addressed in this to make sure that it's covered. I also had a question about section E1D on page 6, that talks about how the county's role in maintenance if the owner refuses. My question is, what if there is no third party interested, like, and if that's a contractor, I wasn't clear if the county can contract with someone to just go do the work, or if it relies on an interested third party stepping up. I would not want to rely on an interested third party stepping up, because what if nobody does step up? Because there may be political implications or economic implications that they have to front the money and hope that they're repaid. I would like to see stronger language that the county can act independently. And if I'm misinterpreting that,
I think you are misinterpreting that because,
okay, that is good.
because I had set this thing up so that it could go either way. The county steps in and does it,
Or a third party stuff.
Or a third party.
Yeah, I see that
Okay.
too. I read it that way.
Section C.
All right,
But the politics may prohibit the county being involved.
I worry about that. And I worry about, the owner, uncooperative owner, barring access by any entity or contractor to do the work. I think that could have been an issue for the Redmond House, and I think it could be repeated. So there should be, I would like to see some kind of provision in there that if there is, if access is denied, that the sheriff can come in or something like that, so that it means business.
That's gonna,
We can't.
Well, that's-
That,
that-
You're not writing law.
That's why it goes
And
next
three
to the
minutes
county
also, please.
council.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for your good work. This is
Got it.
excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, and that's why after Mark and Stephanie look at it, it goes to the county council
That's right.
before it goes any further up
That's
the
right.
chain.
I agree, it would be interesting to know why the previous ordinance was not approved by the Board of Supervisors, but I don't.
Becky, do you remember when that era was?
You know, it was because of the Redmond here
I-
at our house.
It was,
Oh,
it's more
I
than
wanna
9
say-
years ago, because it was
Yeah.
before my time.
Yeah, it was, I was gonna say 10.
Yeah.
10.
So there are different supervisors.
And-
This is a whole new
Yeah.
document. I think if it clears the line up to the Board of Supes, I think that's probably good enough. I don't know if we need to go digging up the reasons why the other one, unless we readily knew
I would agree with you.
offhand.
And also, right now, this is part of a different toolbox being presented almost as a series of elements of a package. And so it's gonna be much more acceptable in conjunction with the Mills Act than it was before, when there was no Mills Act.
Mhm.
So I think that we're safe with this document.
Yeah.
And I feel also that we seem to have a new era with a new Board of Supervisors that are more open
Mhm.
toward preservation.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
all right. So
I
do-
might say that preservation is the key for this new board to counter all of the new growth, support the old stuff too, keep a balance.
So because this was presented as a non-action item, are we allowed to make a motion to pass along, or can we just give you the thumbs up and say we're satisfied with what we've seen here?
I don't think
Yeah,
we don't need a motion.
okay,
I believe that I'm hearing that the members of this commission unanimously support the draft that we have just seen
mhm.
and want to encourage the CDI to move forward as quickly as possible to present this to the Board of Supervisors.
Mhm.
well, yeah, unless anyone has anything else to add to it, that would be the assumption.
The EIR piece.
it's already been remedied.
Yeah, we're keeping it in.
Thank you.
Overzealous mouse, I think was the.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great.
It's excellent.
Yeah,
It
and
is excellent.
Matthew,
Matthew, extremely good.
yeah, we can't thank you enough for doing this. This is incredible.
Gets us closer, doesn't
Yes, it does. What we're gonna do when you retire.
it? Yeah.
Going on to continuing business, All right, here we are, the historic context statement, update recommendations, which is part of goal 16, they're kind of intertwined. We decided that we're going to address it here.
If you keep going through your ordinance, you'll see page 10, the following page is the recommendations from DUDEC that are included on page 129 of the historic context statement. And the recommendation is supplementary and focused historical context. Future research, I'm reading from the last sentence of that first big paragraph. Future research should explore themes, including but not limited to the suggestions outlined below. So, you know, it took us 30 years to update the context statement. And we have this context statement recommendations on page 129 of that report. And these are recommendations for the next update.
This is a synopsis of what they recommended at the end of the long.
Yeah, and Kevin will still be here, and Lucia will still be. You'll all still be here when we do this in 30 years.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, you can see the list, and Becky will still be here. Post-World War II suburbanization and commercial development, you know, these are various outlines provided by the DUDEC. The next item, middle of the page, update the Santa Cruz County Historical Resources Inventory. So the inventory is not meant to just be done once and be done.
It's a living document.
It's a living document.
Mhm.
And I know it takes a lot of work to update stuff. It takes a lot of work to go to what we already have out there and look at it and take photographs and write something about it and create an appendix to an existing DPR. Each one of you have represent a district, and I think the North Coast has the least number of historic resources.
Especially after the CZU fire.
Right. Alba School being, no, it's not,
Yeah.
that's your department.
Yeah, but
Shows that it was also the fire.
But the interesting thing was that the context areas
Yeah,
and the districts
yeah,
aren't the same thing.
yeah,
I'm ending up with going into areas that are
outside of your.
outside of my district, so.
So, you know, in a perfect world, with all the staff you need, and all the money you need, all the historic inventory would have already been evaluated, new photographs taken, DPRs updated. And then there would have been another thorough analysis of what's left out there, what is out there that is worthy of adding to the inventory. But as you know, those site visits haven't happened. We're not at 100%.
No,
I can't even put a percentage on it, other than to say we're not at 100% coverage. We haven't gone out to all those structures and evaluated them. And it's difficult to do. You know, it's just the five of you guys. And it's impossible to do it, really. You gotta have college students or high school students. And even if you have other people to help you, in my opinion, it makes sense that there would be some kind of stipend for these people. Or there would be a guaranteed $200 meal at some fancy restaurant at the end of their work effort.
Or school credit.
Or school credit. I mean, there's ways to approach it to deal with our existing inventory. And then on top of that, there's, what else do we have out there that isn't on the inventory and should be considered? Of course, that's a formal process. You have to talk to the property owners, you have to bring it back to the HRC. And then ultimately you got to go to the board of supervisors and they approve adding 20 more units to the inventory or whatever number it might be. So I can't say enough about how much work is required of it. And I know you guys have to think about it and do what you want to do.
well,
You know,
we all have lives and,
Right.
and, you know, other obligations,
what-
but
what
it's the commitment.
That's right. It's a huge time commitment. What the county can do is what I did with our historic inventory update. I managed to capture an amount of money to pay for a consultant to do that,
Mhm.
to update our document, that's great. So, that's step number one, because without that, adding new stuff to our inventory, difficult. And then lastly, in this page of recommendations, oral histories, existing and new generational narratives. Need not say more, that's pretty obvious what needs to be done, or should be done, I should say. That's all I have to say about this item in the agenda.
Thank you.
Good. Moving on to item B, update on goal status. It's 11 o'clock right now. We're trying to be done here by 12. Does anyone need a bio break right now? Or do you want to just push through until noon?
So it's not 9:27?
Oh.
Somewhere, right?
All right, I'm just gonna say we're gonna push through. If you
Okay.
take a break at some point, raise your hand, we'll take a short break.
Yeah.
So update on goal status, let's be
Okay.
efficient.
This will take like 30 seconds.
Great.
At our last meeting, the special meeting, we, yeah, we, approved the, updated contact statement from DUDAC. The board, approved, we voted on and approved that, we would send it on to the board. We would ask the board to review it and forward any questions they had. And that we would, next start on, putting an action plan together.
That it?
Yeah, I would suggest that we continue the action plan under the,
Mhm.
and I think that's what Mark had said too, that, this goal includes the action plan.
Yeah.
Just a comment from me, because I can't believe how successful Matthew has been in his tenure here
Yeah.
in moving a lot of projects and action items and goals that we had identified, and just kind of like our beloved banana slug, slowly kind of kept moving forward. And how quick we got a grant, we got this new ordinance, cleaned up the other ordinance we had, moved ahead on these, got a contact state. I'm so impressed with what you accomplished in your short tenure here, and I'm really sorry to see you go. But my hope is also with the new staffer that we get, that they will have the same dedication and fire in the belly, and we can maybe get another grant to move on to the next step on our contact statement and get some things done that will be as energetic. So I'm gonna keep this goal open as we work through taking care of the action items, the recommendations.
Yes.
Sure, was your thing?
It'll be 3.5 when I leave.
3.5 years?
I was thinking like months.
Matthew brings two sides to the table here. A personal interest and an informed background in management of historic communities. His work in Carmel and his work in San Juan Bautista, all that contributed to the excellence that he brought to the table. We should not expect another Matthew. We have an extraordinary opportunity here that we got a historian to be our link. That we can't expect the next person to be a historian. We can expect them to be a good administrator. But this was an uncanny experience, and thank you, Matthew.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, all for continuing business?
Mhm.
Great, wonderful, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Moving on to commissioner presentations, informational items. there's nothing listed here, and it just dawned on me, and I don't know any other place to fit this in. I apologize, it wasn't on the agenda, but it's something I think we need to bring up here. This might be a good place for it. The next history fair
Yeah.
is taking place on May 16th, and we're not gonna have another meeting until after that date. So it's unfortunate that we didn't get to squeeze it into the agenda today to talk about it, but I still think that we need to be there and have a presence, and I
Oh,
don't know if that
absolutely.
means having a subcommittee who has a special meeting. I don't think we all need to come together for a special meeting for this, but perhaps a subcommittee can.
Can't have
come
more than
together.
two.
Can't be more than two.
That's
No.
right.
No,
So
so the
I-
subcommittee would be two people, they would be the ones to decide the topic, filing for a table at the event and, enlisting help from other commissioners, but we just can't communicate more than two at a time because of the Brown Act.
Right.
But I know that we're all willing and able to be there in person during the event and are willing to help along the way.
Well, Lucia and I have already chaired.
Yeah, and I
And
have
you
to
did such a
say,
good job,
I
do it again.
don't mind doing it again. The difficulty I'm having is I am actually going to be gone on
Okay,
that date, so I can't go to the fair in person.
well, I'll be
I'm
there,
happy to help with the behind the scenes, like,
yeah.
we could do something, we could basically, we have an infrastructure in place.
Mhm.
We can bring a lot of that out again, we just need like a new display, and, I really liked the quiz. that
Yeah.
we did.
The quiz
I think
was great.
that helped. So we
I'll let
could
the
just-
subcommittee decide everything, but I just want to throw it out there that 2026 is the 250-year anniversary of the United States. And so it might be interesting to somehow tie that into a historical display or something like that. Kind of a big year, 250.
Well, it's the year of the Castro judging, I'm trying to think of like anything we would.
1850.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not a whole lot that goes back to 1776.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But there's a lot that goes back to 1876.
Yeah.
And so maybe like steps along the way, like. this is, you
Watsonville was
know,
incorporated in 1868.
There is certainly some indigenous history,
yeah.
you know, so we can kind of say 1776, here's the indigenous history. 1876, this is what was going on in the county. 1976, this is what was going on in the county. And now here we are today, 2026. You know, what does the next 250 years look like?
You know, what's interesting, it just made me think of this, and that is between 1800 and San Francisco 49, or say 1850.
Mhm.
There were 6 countries vying for the West Coast.
You bet.
Mhm. Yeah,
And little did the indigenous population here know what the hell
The
was.
Russians were in Marin County.
yeah,
The
Yeah.
Russians were in Marin County, Fort Ross.
Yeah.
It was a Russian outpost.
yeah,
Sure.
The French, the English, the Argentinians,
yeah,
United States,
Mexicans,
Mexico,
yeah.
what
So-
was coming down the pike. Ooh.
Yeah. But yeah, I would appreciate it if you're willing and able to be a part of that subcommittee again, just to have a warm body to start to.
A point
Yeah,
person that you can
exactly.
point at.
And if anyone is willing to, you know, be the second person of that committee, that would be
well, I
wonderful.
can certainly help. It's at London,
It's at the
London,
London Nelson Center this year, yeah.
still what morning, London Nelson Center. I do have water aerobics in the morning, which is why I tend to come a little bit later.
Mhm.
However,
We always need somebody later.
Yeah,
It's,
So-
yeah, so I can't be there, but I can certainly set up the infrastructure. Happy to run point on the committee to start marshaling it. I just need
that's
one
great.
other person, and if you can contact me offline, or I can contact you.
yeah,
Great. And then just, yeah, if you can keep, so I'd be willing to help be there at the beginning and set up. I'm gonna be there
Okay.
for the Aptos History Museum as well, and I'm encouraging the History Museum to request a table next to our table. Makes it a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
easier on me, they can be at both tables at once,
Yeah,
that's how
yeah.
it was last year, it worked out great. So I'd be
So
willing
if
to
I
be
know
there.
that, I can at least
Yeah.
hand you the physical.
If you wanna do the work and just give me the items, I'll set it up the day of. And
Okay.
then if Linda, if you can be there the
Yeah.
later part of the day, you can.
kind of heads up, parking will probably be difficult because it's downtown.
Downtown.
Yes.
Kevin, you know what would be really nice, and you may be able to influence this. The year before last, we were next to the the Watsonville, Historic Association. If we could have the Aptos Museum on one side of this and the Watsonville Historic Association on the other side, that would make a really nice
Yeah,
little
Yeah.
park to visit, because everybody networks, as you know, behind the tables, we're all talking.
yeah,
And it would be great to link the Aptos guys and the Watsonville guys
yeah,
with us in the middle.
yeah. Well, whoever is taking charge of requesting the table and, you know, that could be,
Put it on the application.
that, yes.
Okay, so I can do that. I saw the email, but I don't know that they had actually come up with a form for.
I don't think they have
Asking
quite
that.
yet. It was just like it's coming, this is
Yeah,
the
they
date.
just announced the day and the location,
Yeah.
so there's nothing available just of
Yeah.
yet, but yeah.
Okay.
It just
Well,
dawned
I
on me
can
that
try
like we're
that.
not meeting again until June, and so,
Yeah.
gosh, we gotta figure something out. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think it's important that we're there.
And I have all the fair materials, the banner and the
Okay.
box full of whatever it is, questions,
Yeah,
And may I know
but new
that
questions.
here is yet another reason why 4 meetings a year
Mm,
is a more effective structure for this commission.
mhm,
And it's pointed out in this conversation.
mhm.
And again, because May is History Month, we also do not have any properties that we want to give a certificate of appreciation to. And this will be the third year we have not
That's right.
participated.
That's right.
So again, having maybe a couple meetings at the beginning of the year to get a lot of this prep and staged for later in the year.
Yeah. Well, I know we normally have our MA presentation at the beginning, or we're trying to do it at the beginning of the year. So that takes up a big part of the meeting, but I think maybe our first meeting of the year should include that as a repeat item of, these are the items we need to address
That's-
in meeting one.
Standard
Standard.
agenda
Yes,
topics at the beginning of the year, at our first
yeah,
meeting of the year.
but this is our first meeting of the year. and
Yes.
It's already too late.
Yes,
There's that.
So,
so we need to remember at our last meeting of the year, when we set up our first, we incorporate these things.
Yes, yes,
The CAO department's instructions to all departments making this year's budget for the year that will start this coming July is to take a 5% cut across the board in every single area. Let's recognize that that is going to influence any decision that the supervisors make about the commissions, which are a low priority to the Board of Supervisors, and they don't want to spend money on the commissions.
we've done a lot of good things though,
We've done great things.
and I know at least.
Yeah.
I know at least a couple supervisors that are willing to go to battle for us, so that's good. Moving on to, so thank you for taking that, I appreciate it, let us know how we can help.
Okay.
Yes, real quick.
I would like to help. I had a great time with your mom behind bars.
Oh, yeah.
It was marvelous. And I want to ask if your commission might request the Board of Supervisors to issue a proclamation about May being
Oh,
Historic Preservation Month.
interesting.
And that gives you, those things are usually on the consent agenda, but it gives you and members of the public interested in historic preservation the opportunity to go publicly before the board and speak to the issue.
Yeah. Might be a little too late for this year, considering the time constraints we have, but I love that idea for potentially next year.
That's a good idea.
What's the date?
I think-
May 16th, I believe.
Yes.
And it's from 12 to 4. We tend to get there a little bit early just to get the table and set up.
We get an 8-foot table.
But you know, it's not a whole heck of a lot of work, so I mean, it's not like you have to be there 3 hours ahead of time. It's if you're there half an hour early, we have plenty of time to set up.
We've made a nice sign, we have a nice tablecloth, so.
Yeah,
our
tablecloth and
presentation-
banner, probably the hardest part is figuring out how to anchor that down to the tablecloth, or if we happen to have wall space behind us, putting it up there. We just don't know what your situation's gonna look like.
Even if you come just to be, like, just to check it out. Yeah, whether you're helping the table or not, it's an incredible event. It's an
And
incredible.
what I did in the past is I solicited each commissioner to come up with a quiz question. I might take the first stab at actually writing some questions, like I remember the early Board of Supervisors in Santa Cruz County actually, used to pay a bounty for people to bring in squirrel carcasses, because the city and the county was having a hard time being overrun by squirrels. So we could make that into a quiz question.
Question about the ordinance.
I've heard of them.
All right, let's keep moving forward here. Item 11, Historic Resources Commission Staff Liaison. updates.
Okay, here we go. Windmill Cafe at 12311.
2123.
No.
Close.
2321021.
321 bye bye Windmill Cafe.
All right, East Cliff Drive.
Mhm.
Mary Apra, owner of the Windmill Cafe, or the previous owner of the Windmill Cafe, I think she owned it for about 16 years. The property sold 2024. New owner of the property that includes the Windmill Cafe will begin building 6 residential units on the land surrounding the windmill this spring. The realtor representing the current cafe owner indicates the new property owner does not want to give the prospective buyer of the cafe a long-term lease. Mary Apra believes they are doing this because they want to be able to eventually tear the building down and build more residential units on the property. Mary wants some advice on what can be done to assure the building is safe. Well, I told her what to do that. It's a historic structure and there's protocols associated with that. And also that demolition by neglect, which we don't have an ordinance on the subject, but allowing the structure to deteriorate is gonna be against the law. Yeah, basically against our code. But she's concerned about it because there is no long-term lease. And generally, when you do it, if you don't have a long-term lease, you're kind of sending a message.
With a background in hospitality service of 25 years, I can tell you this. A restaurant owner will not make leasehold improvements on a kitchen that he doesn't have a long-term lease on.
Right.
So it's doomed for failure.
Right. So whoever's district the Windmill Cafe is located in, keep an eye on that. She did say, Mary Apra, the owner of or the previous owner of the cafe, did say they put a new roof on it. So that's positive. And it might be the case that the finances are such that you put your money in these 6 units, you rent those structures, then you've got a method to springboard off of that and do some more work on the Windmill Cafe.
Yeah. So right now, there's really not much to do except to keep an eye on it.
Keep an eye on
our awareness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was built as Buckhart's Canyon
that's right.
in the 40s, I believe.
Yep.
And it operated as Buckhart's until the family members died.
Mhm. All right, next subject on the agenda is 1940, 1944, 1950 Kinsley Road, historic house. I met on the property last month, or maybe in December, to talk about the new property owner's plans. It's a 1-acre parcel. And property owner is interested in increasing the number of residential units on the property and wants to know how to deal with the existing historic structure. Well, on the one hand, I said you need to put money into it because the foundation is getting squirrely and the roof is thinning out and some rotten planks here and there. And then she wanted to know, well, can I just leave it where it is? And I said, I would recommend that the Historical Resources Commission not allow you to leave it where it is if you intend to build additional structures on the property, because then no one's gonna see this structure again from Kinsley Road. So I recommended to her that she move the house forward on the property so that it sits as a house on Kinsley Road, not something way out in the back. So that's the status of that.
Can I find out, is it Kinsley Road or Kinsley Street?
I don't know.
Well,
Live Oak.
Live Oak, it's Kinsley Street.
Great, thank you very much.
Right,
And
right by the sentence.
the DPR, by the way, I included DPRs in the staff report, so that is one of the,
Wow, Live Oak's on fire today, isn't it? You can't see.
that is, yeah, that's right. Fraser Lewis House, I last month I sent you a link to a web-based video, fantastic video.
Incredible.
The property owner contacted me and wanted to know if she could have the property delisted. And then that's when I went into a little bit of research. Yes, it's in the historic inventory. And I found a real estate agent's web platform, saw that 5-minute video, which I thought was very good. The property owner was saying, well, you know, my mom passed away, I'm selling it, but no one wants to buy it because it's historical, and can we delist? And I told her, well, it has to go to the HRC and the Board of Supervisors, and it's highly unlikely that's gonna delist this house.
I'd like to make a comment. I was going to recuse myself from this item because I know the owners of the home. They're personal friends and they're marvelous people. I can update you all by saying that that was an informal request to you. And she never applied for, she chose after talking to you not to move forward. But the real key to the whole thing is in the next sentence. That is a great video and it has sold the house. The house is currently in escrow.
Oh, good.
At the current asking price, and the issue is over. The family intends to move in. They have young kids, and boy, howdy, are they excited about this place.
Wow.
So it's self-resolved and I'm happy of that.
Good news.
Yeah.
Because by the way, that home was the location of an 8-year-old girl who survived the Donner Party.
Mhm.
And her grandson bought the home and moved her in as an old woman in the 1890s.
And you
Yeah,
can see the photograph, or in the video, or?
Yeah, I read about that in the video.
The photograph and a rocking chair.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the woodwork on the inside of the house.
Oh, yeah.
I was drooling. Okay, next item, cat and cloud.
Mouse.
Letter sent in September, I sent a letter in September regarding faded signage representing the old firehouse once located at the site of the cafe. I haven't gone out there to verify if anything's been done.
No, so when we took a field trip to the Bayview Hotel and we talked about it, we were given the thumbs up by one of the building owners to say, yeah, we'll replace that, no problem. Just you tell us what to do and we'll do it. So I walked away from that being like, oh, great, awesome, well, we'll get that updated. But then I walked away thinking to myself, am I supposed to do that? Like who technically does that task fall on?
It's the property owner.
Right.
They installed the original stuff and our recommendation was to potentially put it inside the house or on the north face.
Right.
So it doesn't suffer so much sun.
I'd like to move it inside the building so it doesn't get hit by the sun. And this way people going inside of the coffee house will be able to see it rather than people just walking by the outside of the building.
That's your jurisdiction?
It is, yeah, yeah.
Just go by and see if anything's been done.
Nothing's been done.
Okay.
No, but because I think the owner is assuming we're gonna do something about it.
No, it's not our job.
Well, it's not our property.
He said he'd pay for it, but he, at the same time, I'm just like, well, I'm not gonna create something and put it in there. It's like, I'm not gonna just talk to a barista and be like, hey, I'm here to install something inside your building. So I'll revisit, I'll send him another email and say, I'm following up here. By the way, this is, like, if you need content, I can provide the content, but basically just redo what you have, because it's a perfectly fine display. Just redo it and put it inside so that it gets done.
And I'll check back with you in another month to see how the progress is going.
Exactly. No.
And if I may, Jackie Steinbrenner, I am also concerned about this. I would actually like to ask that the replacement be outdoors, so people could see it. They wouldn't have to be patrons of the business to see the information. And we could model the format and materials on what this commission required of the Apple Barn history to be put outside. That gets the full sun too, and it's holding up pretty well. So I would like to see this commission become involved in recommending content and, placement and building materials.
Okay, well, what I'll do is I'll say that the content that they had was perfectly fine, I was happy with it, besides the fact that the photos have all faded. So I'll recommend that they just reprint that on whatever material is used on the Keen Apple Barn at New Leaf, because that seems to be holding up to the weather a lot better than whatever they use. So we'll say, if you wanna keep it outside, just do whatever the New Leaf Barn did, if you wanna move it indoors, that would suffice as well. I agree, it would be nice to have it outside, I think more people would see it inside, to be perfectly honest. But we'll see,
Your discretion.
okay, thanks for the input.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay, New Leaf Market, another issue about condition.
good segue, going in now.
I sent the letter in January 21st to Barron Ranches in San Jose about the deteriorated condition of paint on the exterior of the New Leaf Market structure. The next item is delistings by the Board of Supervisors. We addressed that as the Historical Resources Commission last September, I think it was. And I'm speaking to Alba School, Seabreeze Tavern, and Twin Lakes School. These will be considered by the board March 24th. And it's just a, kind of an automatic.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that there is, I was planning on this going to the board in January, but there was concern about the Alba Park and Recreation District.
Yeah, it's a special district.
What they thought about that, so I reached out to them. I haven't received any response yet, but I anticipate something to happen with that. The next item is tribal consultation fee. The Board of Supervisors will consider an initial tribal consultation fee at a future meeting. This fee would ultimately be paid by an applicant requesting an entitlement from the county and is intended to offset the initial tribal consultation process. Meaning that the county reaches out to the various tribes then have to do a certain number of actions in relation to the county. And then we say, okay, you're a legitimate tribe concerned about this future project. You want to do consultation with the county. There's a $200 initiation fee that gets basically pays for people to speak to each other and write to each other and whatnot. This fee, very small, and has nothing to do with archaeologists or tribal representation on a property during earth movement. That's a whole different, that's a whole different process, different price tag, whatnot. And that's under a contract, separate from this tribal consultation fee. Next item is, I have to say, I'm impressed, we're getting out of here by noon. Next item is historic resources site inspection. Yeah, we already addressed this about going out into your district. And I wanted to point out, and I scribbled this in this morning, that Porter Cessna Meditation House or the little gazebo, keeping an eye on what's going on with that. And personally, I think ivy on wood is a bad idea.
Yeah.
Unless it's ivy on a cheap lattice work that you can buy at Home Depot. But, you know, what's going on underneath the structure with ivy. I mean, ivy can be very destructive.
Big time.
Last item I have
Oh,
here.
wait a minute, a comment on this. I would like feedback from you now that you have my input on the DPR of Voc Barn. Two things. One, I did the continuation sheets and I could do a cut and paste, but I couldn't put any information on the top.
Okay.
So that's where I didn't know.
Is this?
This is the template, the blanks that we got.
That I sent to you by email.
Yes.
Okay, good.
So I use, this is the historic significance. I did another one for all the little repairs and things that could be done. But it looks to me at this point that I have to fill out the top, then by hand, scan it, and then email it to you. Does anyone know of any way to electronically fill in the top half of this
I
template.
can see what we can do here at the county in that regard, whether or not that rectangular thing at the top can be
Okay,
electrified.
before I do, to end up having 10 to
Right.
And two, the other one with repairs, left window this, right window, that kind of thing. Let me know format. I had no idea of the format when we send in things that we notice that should be repaired. How to format it on the continuation sheet that best suits your purpose. So basically just some feedback.
Okay.
And Matthew, I know when I sent you photos for some of the properties in Davenport, I just sent you photos. I didn't do these pieces. I just sent update photos. So I hope that was enough.
These are the photos from, that you sent me a few months ago.
Yes,
right?
yeah. I haven't sent you anything since then.
Yeah. There's another one. Okay. One second. All right. Arano and Rice Historic Houses, that's item 11I. I spoke with Santa Cruz County Transportation Commission staff about their project to demolish non-historic structures. And at the end of the day, I recommended that the Transportation Commission, while they have mobilized heavy equipment on the site to take out structures, that they also take out the shed attachments to the Arana house under supervision or direction of an architectural historian. So the architectural historian, number one, would outline a plan for the Transportation Commission to implement. And then that same person, very likely that same person, architectural consultant, architectural historian, architectural building historian, will be on site to make sure things are done properly. I never went into the Arano house, and I don't know if they took off exterior skin of the Arano house in order to have passway between the shed addition and the original house. Are there doors or?
No,
So why did they attach them to the Arano house to begin with, if there's no interior circulation?
well, it's because of lack of space. I mean, the owner, they tried to fit in as many units on their little property as
But
possible.
I can walk into the Arano house, but I can't get into these attachments.
It's not from the Arana house.
Interesting.
Mhm.
So that means the site, very likely the siding is still there.
Absolutely. I would think so.
Structurally intact.
I would think so, yeah.
Well, that's good news.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's where it stands with the Santa Cruz County Transportation Commission.
Yeah.
They have been formally notified that that's what needs to
And
happen.
I think they're getting someone on site soon, to do like the asbestos testing and everything that you need to have done before
Right.
the demo
Right,
begins. And so they are starting the process.
and I emphasize that it really isn't an option for the Transportation Commission.
Mhm.
They are owners of historic structures.
Mhm.
And they're going through a process of major demolition on the site.
Mhm.
And they've been told by the health department to not go too far down. They may have said, don't take out the foundation, because if you do, you might expose contaminated soils with petrochemicals or something like that.
Mhm.
And they might get lucky and be able to pull, I don't know the age of these buildings. They may just be slab on grade, in which case they can just peel off concrete. Or they may be stem wall, perimeter wall foundations, which may likely go deeper.
So,
And then you have maybe environmental health issues with that. I hope not. It'd be nice not to leave crap on the property.
mhm.
You know, it'd be nice just to pull all that stuff out once and for all. And then when they finish that, they can go and take off the shed additions to the Arano house. If you have looked at the aerial views of the Arano house, you will see a small little rectangular structure. And then you'll see all of this stuff attached to it, and plus the tarp, plus whatever else. Oh, there was another thing in that regard to Arano house, and its physical location, right at the top of a steep embankment. And I mentioned that runoff from that building could exacerbate that foundation problem for the Rana house because of its proximity to a slope that looks like it's greater than 45%. So I brought that to the attention of Transportation Commission staff to make sure that they are aware of it, and that perhaps gutter and downspout on that side direct water away from that slope and put it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like the railroad track. I don't know, wherever they think it's appropriate. That's, oh, and the last thing is, Matthew retires April 30. That's under 3 months. 39 years in the mines.
Congratulations.
Matthew, thank you.
You've done
Yeah,
a-
Matthew's been
You've had a
amazing.
great career and a wonderful few years with us. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's wild the amount of stuff you've gotten done in that short period of time. So we really, really appreciate you. I wish we had planned this better. I kind of take responsibility for dropping the ball, but we should have had a little something for you here today.
I don't think I said anything about it to you guys, and I'm not offended. I'm not
Yeah.
offended.
So are you actually retiring or are you moving on to something else?
My issue is I don't want to sit 40+ hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
So you can translate that to, yeah, I'll do something for 20 hours a week or 16 hours a week.
Yeah.
I just don't, I'm tired physically. I had a double hip surgery and sitting is
Ooh.
not agreeable to me.
Oh.
That double hip surgery was 4 years ago or 4 years ago, but still, it still affects me at this age. I'll be 68 in July. And that's right, spring chicken, I admit. And, but it's just the sitting. I don't want to sit like
Yeah.
like a den.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we're lucky, Santa Cruz County here, that there are really almost uncountable things to get involved with and do and enjoy, you know, where we live.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of fun working here. I've met some great people, and Becky as well, and you guys, and the projects have been very interesting. Capturing state funding to do that historical context.
Oh, that is amazing.
And meeting the DUDEC staff, who I'd never met before. I'd met DUDEC staff up in Sacramento and in Monterey, but I hadn't met the archaeologists and historians. And their lead historian, Phelan, if I'm pronouncing that right, she's very good.
So you would recommend her for a next step,
Yes.
for a next
Oh, yeah.
phase?
And let's also recognize that Jacob Stone, who
Yeah.
is the PhD,
Mm-hmm,
who did this doctorate on the Redmond House,
right.
is on their staff. He's been hired by DUDEC. He was one of
Great.
the people who wrote our context statement.
Yeah.
Very, very well
Yeah.
done people.
No, it's always a team effort. But it's typical that there's gonna be a lead writer, and then they'll have 1 or 2
Right.
Mhm.
people overseeing the final effort, production process, and making sure the T's got crossed and the I's got dotted. Anyway, it's been a lot of fun working in this planning field, and as Barry said, I had the background with Carmel doing Mills Act projects there, and doing historical work in the city of San Juan Bautista. I was there as a contract planner, part-time contract planner for 10 years. And San Juan Bautista is very interesting. And one of the things that none of you know about is that they used to be their own water purveyor, and their source of water is up the San Juan Canyon, right? And if you go to the right place along the San Juan Canyon, you can see the old redwood pipes.
Yeah.
Ah,
Oh, cool.
Most of it's been demolished, but there's still remnants of it. And you can even pinpoint the source of their water collection, going back to the
So there's public access, or we get anyone who walk up into
Look
it.
at that, there's a road that takes you all the way up to Fremont Peak.
You know, when they dug up Seacliff a few years back to redo the water systems there, they came across some redwood pipes and they cut a section off and brought it to the Aptos Museum and said, you guys might want this, cause it's unusual nowadays. And it's like,
Yes.
"Oh, we'll take it."
They find it occasionally in the city.
Yeah,
Sure. What was the diameter of that?
Honestly, it's probably like that, it wasn't huge, but.
And do you know where the source of water came from? Did they have a impoundment somewhere up the hill?
Don't know off the top of my head, no. Well, Matthew, you're leaving some big shoes to fill, and we can only hope that the county will hire someone who is, if they're half as competent as you, we'll be lucky. So really appreciate everything that you've done, and just kind of curious, is there a timeline? Are we gonna get to hear about this person before our next meeting? How is all of this gonna go down? Or do you not know?
That's the thought, and maybe I can say that's the plan.
Okay,
While I'm still here, the discussion has been reaching out, sending out the notice that there's a job available. And then I'd be participating in the interview process.
okay. Because when we do our planning for our next meeting, I don't know if you
I'll
want
have
to
it
do that
all-
before you go.
I'll have it all
If you could,
set
if
up.
that new person is hired by then, it'd be great to include them so they can kind of see our process.
I'll have it all set up structurally.
Great, well, thank you, thank you.
So you're confirming that they are planning on replacing?
It may end up being internal.
Oh, I would expect it to be internal.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I'm hoping the person will be full-time.
Yeah, I don't know how the county operates in that regard.
Yeah.
When is your official last day?
April 30.
Okay, you took everything off of
we
this?
did.
Okay, so that's what I'll do, is as I,
So we're not done quite yet, folks.
Nope.
Oh, no.
We're almost there, but just a couple more items procedurally here. Moving on to written communications outside of ex parte, I don't believe there are any, so that's easy. Review of items for future agenda.
how about a recap of the history fair?
Yep.
The presentation by the MA, we should reach out to the new executive director.
Mhm.
She should be on at the next meeting.
What did you say about May 16th?
Oh, a recap of the history fair.
Oh, right.
And
An update on our reporting 3 items that are in inventory.
so what is coming before the supervisors between now and June? That's our next meeting, June?
That's a good question.
So,
I can assure you that it will include the initial tribal consultation fee. It'll include the delisting of all the schools, Sea Breeze Tavern and Twin Lakes School.
will we get the ordinance?
I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, that might be too soon, but if not by March 10th, hopefully the next meeting after that. It'd be nice to get it on there, because it'd be nice to have you see the result of all your hard work.
It'd be, yeah, ideally, they come around and they resolve any question, they, meaning the two people that I identified earlier, Stephanie Hansen and then the county council person, that they direct their questions to me and not a new person,
Mhm.
Exactly,
because that ain't gonna work.
yeah, exactly.
And then we move it on to the, gotta go to the planning commission first. Is that right? No. It's the board after that.
Before, and straight to the board.
With parallels.
All right, so we covered a lot in a really good period of time. I'm proud of us. We're ending not only on time, but a little bit early,
You
so.
need to sign that last page.
I already did that electronically.
You did?
Yeah,
You sent it to me?
well, no, I got it from the county for both the commissions I'm on. And I filled it out because this is the 700, Form 700?
No,
Oh, this is stipend, okay, I did the
Yeah.
Form
you
700.
need to sign where I put the X's.
County wants all kinds of things filled out.
You want-
Becky, you had a comment?
Just a heads up about the Apple Street Bridge, it's
Uh-huh.
almost a hundred years old.
Back.
Right.
There's gonna
not
be
yet.
a lot of activity regarding that bridge. I saw, PG&E workers there preparing to do some work. They're
Yeah,
removing things, adding things, and it's in conjunction with the RTC's work for the segment 12
yeah,
pedestrian bridge across there. So
Right.
it's something to keep an eye on.
yeah, thank you.
Can I go back to item number 13, which is the future items?
Yep.
I have Ma and I have May 16 recap. What else are we doing? What else is Barry doing?
Update on the inventory items, is that what you had suggested? Yeah.
Oh, you mentioned the initial tribal fee?
Oh, that's what's going
To
to
the
the
board.
Board of Supervisors.
Oh, but it won't be back on our agenda.
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm just, it was you should know, that was it.
Okay,
What are these 3 inventory items?
Remember we had set a guideline that each commissioner should try to visit 3
Oh, right,
properties between meetings, so an update on what we visited would be a good agenda item. Especially if we don't have a packed agenda.
Right.
And just to know, an update on these inventory items, it doesn't mean you need to go in and write a full history on these properties. You don't need to go into the depth that we're going into for Orano or Locatelli, unless you see something that warrants a little bit more research. Right now, the best thing to do is just to pick 3 properties, maybe close to your home, or 3 that are close together, so it doesn't take up your full day. Just drive by, take a look, see if there's anything that catches your eye that may warrant something. While you're there, try to get some pictures without trespassing or invading anybody's privacy or anything like that. Because we will need to update the inventory with updated photos. The ones that are currently on there are old and not great. So anything you can do is great. It might take 5 minutes, it might take an hour, but let's all try to do 3 on our inventory list by next meeting, which is in June. Something, pull it up here. That will be June 8th is the next meeting. You can, well, yeah, we've emailed them to Matthew. I don't know if we need to come up with a more formal process. As long as Matthew's still with us until April, I would say email them to him. That's all right with you. So, and we'll come up with a plan with the new person, but that'll probably be the same thing going forward. Anything else to cover before we?
Review of items for future agendas.
Then we just did that, recap of history fair, presentation, the law presentation, and our 3 inventory properties.
We're ready for adjournment.
Yeah, can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion we adjourn the meeting.
Second, please. Sure. All in favor, Commissioner Evans, Commissioner Orlando, Perlman, Phillips.
aye.
All right. Unanimous. 11:48 is the end here.
Your start time was 9:33?
Yes.